Welcome everybody from the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. Welcome Stephen. How are you today, Stephen?
Very well, thank you, Scott.
Oh, that's good to hear. I understand that you're going to tell us a little bit about UML types today. So looking forward to hearing all about UML types and how we can work with them in Enterprise Architect.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, this is a topic that is quite important, and it provides the metadata and some of the things that underpin some of the models that we've been creating. So we've been creating them without looking at this reference data, if you like, or metadata about the model. But now we're going to go and have a little look at them and see the things that we can change and how those things can help us model. As always, I want to look at my perspective and make sure that I'm working in the right perspective to gain focus on Enterprise Architect, the particular topic that I'm doing. I have been doing some modeling earlier today on using the geographic modeling language, which is part of the geospatial functionality in Enterprise Architect. But today we're going to change to our UML perspective, all UML. Notice the application changes and focuses on the UML. Now, where we find this reference data or metadata is under the settings ribbon. So on the settings ribbon there, and the reference data panel, which is this kind of panel in the middle. We've got a number of different items on there. Today we're going to be looking at UML types and model types. So let's make a start. We'll look at UML types. We click on this dialog box there, or the option there, and the dialog pops up, and we've got three different UML types. Now these are not defined by Sparx Systems or the Enterprise Architect team. They are part of the language UML, and the tool has just implemented them. Stereotypes are a really useful thing. They allow you to define sort of special type in the field that you're working in. So if you were working in aviation, for example, an aircraft might be a particular type. If you were working in a rail project, rolling stock. In insurance, it might be a claim. So think about it as the things that you use regularly, the entities that you would use regularly. Let's have a look at this and let's define a new stereotype. I'm going to call it parking space because that's what that's one of the things that are very important. These things are obviously all over the city environment. There are, literally thousands of these parking spaces all over the environment, and important for us to model. So I'm going to write it in lowercase. That's a best practice there, to write it in lowercase. I'm going to choose a particular type that I'm going to apply it to, and I'm going to apply it to an object, which is an instance of a class, if you like. So I'll choose object there, and I want to write some notes. The place that a tourist parks their vehicle. So important to write some notes in that case, Scott, and I'm just going to save that now, and we can look at how we could apply that. So let's say none here, and we'll save that. Now, this comes up in the list as in parking space there. You can see it's of type object. Let's go into our model and see how we could use this. We can go into our structural model using the navigation buttons, icons here. Double click on this, and I get through to my class model. I'm going to use this to find a particular item or class in the browser. So I'll click on this one here, and I'll use this little toolbar icon to find that element. So there it is there. It's in the car space. I'm going to parking space there. So what I want to do is to create another class diagram, and I'm going to call it that I'm going to look at. Well, actually, let's make it an object diagram from the jump. So here's our class model. Let's put it into the same level as that, and let's make it an object diagram. And I'm going to call it something that will make sense. Class model, let's call it object model there.
Yep.
And it's parking spaces. So we'll use the create diagram feature. Now we've got that, and we've got a number of items in our toolbox, which has changed. So what I want to do now is I want to drag on an item from not from the toolbox, but from the project browser. So I've got parking space there. And when I drag that onto this diagram, you notice that this has popped up with a dialog box, and it's given me some options how I can put this one in: a link, an instance, and a name parking space. So let's just put that on there for a minute, and let's see what happens. So we've got an element there, and I'm going to give it a name. So it's a particular parking space, and let's say it's in Finch Street there. So that's the element there. Now let's apply a stereotype to it. We could look in here, and there it comes up in my list, parking space, which was the one that I created a little earlier. So, and you can see there that I've got parking space there. So let's create another object, and we'll do that again without doing any work. We're reusing the elements in the project browser, and again, it's a instance of that parking. Oh, I've chosen the wrong one there. I chose parking session, parking space I want, and let's go OK to that, and let's give that a name as well. And so these are juxtaposition next to each other, these particular button widgets. I'm going to make them the same size, just using some of my layout features there, and I'm going to just use the grid, and I'm going to associate them as well. So
you got 47, 48.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? One is a stereotype parking space, and the other one doesn't have a stereotype.
No, so that's right. I'm going to apply that stereotype again. So there we can see that they're both parking spaces. Now, that's very useful because I can do all sorts of things with the model when I've got that stereotype applied. But what I want to go back and show you, Scott, is a really nice feature in the tool, which is the ability to set an image or a shape to these elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. I'm going to go into this editor again here, and I'm going to look at my UML types, and I'm going to choose Stereotypes, and I'm going to locate my parking space one. There it is. Now, instead of saying none there or metafile, I'm going to put a shape script in. So this is a special feature in Enterprise Architect. It allows you, using a very simple scripting language, to assign different shapes to stereotyped elements. So what I can do is just say, look, let's assign that there, and that will come up with a script window. Now, I can put a description in here, and that's best practice. This might say displays a shape.
So the backslash is used for comments.
Yeah, that's right. In a location. So that's right. That's used for in lots of programming languages. It's used for in indicating that it's a comment. Now I'm going to put some other things in here, and I'll say shape main here. And what I'm going to do is I actually have this saved, and I could import that from another location there. I've got the import. What I'm going to do is I have just done an example here, and what I'll do is I'll copy that into this, and I'll show you how this works. So that's the script. We'll go through it in a minute. Let's just refresh that and see what happens. So conveniently, we've got a little preview window here. So as I'm working, I can change aspects of the script, and it is visible here. And what the shape is representing is the yellow ellipse shape is a vehicle. The blue color is the pavement, and the grey background is the road. So it's kind of indicating that a car would be parked in that space. The script itself is reasonably straightforward, and we have a very useful help system content on this, so you can do that. If I want to change this, imagine that I want to set this this fill color to something different. So I could say, look, let's set that to 255 and refresh that.
So I assume that RGB is just the RGB color in some hexadecimal value.
Yeah, that's right. So it's being defined in RGB in here, which is, the red, green, blue elements of the color. So I can change those at will. So let's use that script now, and you notice the other thing. So all I've done is I've got a couple of compartments there, or a couple of rectangles, an ellipse there. So we're setting the fill color. We've defined an ellipse. We've defined another rectangle, a few coordinates there that you have to manage. And the other interesting thing is we're adding a subshape which is called a name compartment. Now this is an important thing because it allows me to put the name of the element that's defined in the properties window into the shape script, and I can also make it an editable field as well. So let's say OK to that, and let's see what happens. We'll save that, and let's close that now. And if you remember, Scott, a few minutes before we started,
it's changed.
It's completely changed there. So that's a useful thing. Let's just drag another one on and show how that works. Let's put another parking space in here, and it's an instance of an object. Let's cheat a bit and grab that name there and put it onto this one, and we'll make it 49. And again, we'll use our alignment there. I'll just multi-select these.
I think it says 449.
Oh, right. Well, that one's a long way away, Scott. That's a bit of a typo, but would have had to walk a long way to pick up my car, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Let's use the layout ribbon there, get that right, and again, we can associate those two. So now, whenever I apply that stereotype to the element, we're going to see our shape script. Now, we've just given a very simple example this morning, Scott, and I didn't want to create anything terribly complex because it would be difficult in a tutorial like this or a video like this for people to understand the script. But you can see it was a relatively basic thing to do. As I said, we've got a great help content with lots of examples on there to do all sorts of fancy things. And remember I said this was editable, Scott. Now I can click on this name field and I can edit it. So if I made that mistake in this one over here, I could have just corrected it actually in the name field there. So that's a really powerful feature. We're going to look now at turn our attention to the tag value types.
Right.
So tag values are extra properties on elements. So Enterprise Architect has, if you look over at the properties window, it has a number of built-in properties, the name, the type, the stereotype, the role, keyword, status, all sorts of different options there. But if they don't meet your needs, then the UML specifies that you can add these other properties that they call tag values. So a tag, if you like, a name and its value. That's where the word tag value comes from.
So basically it allows you to customize Enterprise Architect to add values that aren't covered by the UML. Is that correct?
That's exactly right, Scott. So let's put some in. So let's put in a tag value type commission date, and we'll say, we'll apply this to a meter, something, and we'll say it could be applied to a meter there, and we're going to put in some details now. Now this is extremely simple, Scott. This particular one, all I want to do is allow a property to be set for the date. So I just simply write type equals date and save that. And you'll see that it comes out in the list below, allowing me to enter a number of other ones as well. Let's just see how this one applies. And actually, let's change this to not just the date the parking meter was commissioned, but let's change it to the date, the resource. Make it a bit broader. You can reuse it on different things. Yep. So let's have a look at our. Let's close that a minute and have a look at our class model, and let's see what we can see with this. So we'll open up our class model and we'll select our parking meter. Now, over on the properties window, we haven't looked at this before, but the property window, like many windows, has a number of panels, the element panel and the tags panel. Let's just add a tag here. So I've clicked on the tags panel. There's a little icon saying, a new one with a little star there. Let's select that, and there's the commission date pops up, and let's go OK to that.
There was a couple of options. Were those tag values defined previously, or?
No, they're system ones, Scott. They'll pop up. So they'll some of them will pop up because they've already been defined in the system. But we knew that we were looking for commission date, yes, and we can search for that in any case. Let's say the commission date. Let's backpedal a little bit, and let's say that the commission date was on the 15th of November. So I can just set that, and that information's available there. Now I can choose also to display that in the element, because I can say in my compartment visibility. So I'm just right mouse clicking on the element, opening up my compartment visibility, and I've got something called tags there. So I'll say that, and now you can see that what's happened is that tag one has been entered as a separate compartment in window. I'll just make a little bit more space there. Yep. The shape has changed that a little bit. Might even make that a little bit, still a little bit lower there. And, just tidy up a couple of things here, which is quite straightforward to do.
Can you add more than one tag value, Stephen?
Yeah, great question, Scott. It seems, it seems like you're thinking ahead at your own projects, which is great to see. And yes, we can. So again, we go to the settings ribbon and we choose the UML types, and we look at tag values. And let's have a look at entering another type of tag value. So let's have a look at payment reader types. So that might be an interesting one to look at. So what we need now is I want to have a situation where someone can choose from a list of values. So I don't want them to put in their own values, because that's error prone. It's quite common, yes, for people to put in the wrong thing. So what I want to do is have a list of values. Now, I've obviously very experienced with the tool, Scott, and I know some of these in detail. But if you're new to the tool, or even if you've got some experience, you won't know all of these in detail and the syntax for them. So let's use the help system, which we haven't looked at today, but conveniently on almost all windows in Enterprise Architect and from the Start ribbon, we have a button to launch help. Now, I've just launched that help, and I'm going to drag that onto the screen so you can see it. And yep, what I'm going to do now is I'll put that up there, and what I want to look at is predefined structured types. So let's have a look at that, and let's have a look at the enormous amount of functionality that the tool has for defining your own properties. So these tag value type formats allow you to, just using this little bit of syntax, the type equals, in this case, add in broadcast, Boolean, checklists, classifiers. So just by entering the code, I can change the user interface available for the particular property or tag value that I'm setting. So I could set a color. You might have something that you need to set the color for, like the meter might, you might want to say, look, I want a particular color for the meter. Constant values, customs, all sorts of ones there.
Now, I can see the date that you used before as well.
Yeah, well picked up. Yeah. So that was the one I used before, to input the date for the tag value from a calendar menu. So it tells you what kind of input that you're going to get, or what kind of user interface device that you're going to use. I'm just going to look at this one here for the moment. The enumeration, used to define a comma-separated list where value 1, value 2, and value 3 represent values in the list, and default represents the default value of the list. So let's make use of that now, and let's define those values. So I'm going to just call this one, let's call it payment reader. So I want this to be the payment reader type. So we've had some issues with the types of payment readers that we've used, and some of the manufacturers haven't been able to provide the components in compliance with their own specifications. So we are going to, look at the possibility of choosing different payment readers in different areas for our meter. So now we need down in the detail. And what that was with what the type is enum. So that's going to be the enum there stands for enumeration or list of values or literals. And the values are evac1, evac2, payrep1, which are in our field and the type of meter readers that we're using, payment readers that we're using. These are the particular types. So you can change the values of those, obviously. And Scott, the other thing I do is I always put in an unspecified to ensure that if someone doesn't know the value, then they don't just make something up. And that's very good practice with any data-driven application. And Enterprise Architect, of course, allows you to do it. There's a default
that avoids
option.
Deliberately introducing errors into your data.
Exactly right. And that can really cause issues. And the unaware user doesn't know. If you didn't have the unspecified, the unaware user wouldn't know which one to pick and would either leave it at default or randomly pick one and hope for the best, which is, like you said, obviously not what you want. So we've got the default specified as defined as unspecified. Let's save that one. And look, let's do another one while we're here, because we might as well look at this another type here. What I'm going to do is I want a list of error codes for the meter. So I'm going to put in here reader error codes. And this is going to be simply a list of error codes. And I'm going to use another very simple one, memo. All that does is, what it gives me is the ability not just to put in a single word or a couple of sentences. It gives me a much larger space, if you like, or field to enter information in, and I may have information to do that. I'm going to save that now and close that. So now we've got those ones defined. Let's see how we can put them to use. So I'm going to put them all on the parking meter. We could put it into the payment reader, but the parking meter contains the payment reader. So just for a minute, I'm going to put this commission date there. We've already got that one in. I look at my tag values. If you remember from last time, I choose the tags panel of the properties window. So there was element information there, and this panel's got the tags in it. I'm going to say new one there, and I'm going to type in payment reader type, reader error codes. So let's go payment reader type there. And you can see it pops up as unspecified. And again, the diagram interface changes, and we've got payment reader there. And if you look over here in the properties window with the tag,
looks like a drop-down menu.
It's a drop-down, exactly as the help said. And we've got the different types of payment readers that we've got there. And I can apply. Let's apply the payment reader error codes to this one. And let's say we want. Let's reader error codes there, and we'll just go OK to that. And let's have a look at this and see what can be done here. So with our memo. So just going to move those over there for a minute. And what we can do is we can select this one here. Again, we can display that tag value. We can go into the compartment visibility and go tags there and display that one. And if I do that correctly, if I didn't, let me have a look. I'll just go into that one again. I'm not sure that I clicked the right one there. Did. And let's make a bit more space there. So one's not popping up. This memo one hasn't come up in that because it's a special type. Let's put some values in here. So these are the values for our tag value. Things, which is our memo field, and so they're useful for anyone looking at it. Insufficient funds, transaction decline, all of those kind of things. And there we have that with the tag values. So that's an incredibly useful thing. And as you click on the element, you can move to the tags field and you can put those ones on and view them. And noticing that memo one doesn't pop up in the tag values window there. Let's do one more thing with our UML types. Let's look at the cardinality values. So these are like multiplicities, if you like, if you're a database person. The number of allowable values of an instance of the element with respect to another one. So here we have some of the standard cardinality types and values, and let's put in a new one. So let's make a rule, Scott, that a motorist can only have up to 5 sessions at a meter. So let's put a new one in here, and we can just put in the lower bound, which is 0.
Yep.
And the upper bound, which is 5. So the syntax is lower bound and 2 dots, and then the upper bound. Let's save that. We've got that defined there. You can see that's popped up in that list there. And let's go to our class model here. And let's say that the motorist has got parking sessions there. Now, at the moment, we've said they can have any number of parking sessions. So let's tighten that up a bit. We select the connector there, and over in the properties window, it changes for the connector. Let's look at the source and the target. So we've got parking session as the target there, and motorist as motorist is the target, and the source is the parking session. So now let's drop that down and look at the multiplicity. Okay, so we'll look at the multiplicity, and now we've got 0 to 5, which has popped up. So I can choose that one and save the property, and you can see now on the diagram that is 0 to 5. Now
does that arrow point out the direction?
Which arrow are you referring to? Oh, this arrow here.
The arrow there to say that a motorist can have 0 to 5 parking sessions.
No, that's a different arrow, Scott. That one is a quick linker one to get a note or something. I can put a link on here to a note, and so I could say something there and say the chief parking. So this is in chief parking officer has defined a hard limit,
right,
on the number of sessions. So that's an incredibly useful thing. The direction on that, I can set the direction in the properties window. You can see at the moment it's unspecified.
I see.
And I can set it over there and say it's source to destination, destination to source. So let's say it's that way, and I've got it the wrong way around. I can just flick it there and say destination to source, and that's saying a motorist has got multiple sessions. But that's a nice thing to observe, Scott, is the ability to be able to put a note not just on an element. I can attach a note to an element, but I can also attach it to a connector.
Yeah.
So that's it on this session on UML types. And just to recap, we defined a stereotype, and remember we did a parking space. We defined a stereotype. We set a shape script on that. In our tag value types, we set a commission date. We set a payment reader type with an enum. The commission date was a simple date. This was an enumeration, and the error code was a memo type. And remember, Scott, you saw that list of predefined types there, tag value types. You can look through that at your leisure, and you'll see there's an incredible amount of of features there to be able to put in.
So the help not only gives you some sample code, but it shows you what types are available and how you might go about adding some of those tag values.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. And the cardinality there, that was the other one we looked at, and we can define our own cardinalities, which are kind of they're like business rules. They tighten up the model and make it more specific for its particular purpose.
So you might have a parking meter, but parking meter might not be able to have any more than 10 parking spaces or something like that. So
exactly right. That would be a good use of the cardinality as well. So lots of flexibility.
Oh, look, that's been fantastic. I got to see shape scripts, and you took a very plain UML diagram and made it look appealing and made it look pretty and gave it extra meaning and context as well through the shape script. We looked at cardinality, and we kind of looked at how to create your models and make them extremely customizable using some of the tagged values. So if it's not in the spec, you can add extra details. So that's fantastic. So I'd like to thank you for that, Stephen. For everyone watching, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. If you have any questions about what you've seen or you have some ideas for future topics, feel free to drop a comment down below. Press that thumbs up like symbol, subscribe so you can hear when we release any new videos and you can keep up to date. Thank you very much, Stephen, for a really detailed and comprehensive overview of some of the UML types. I've learned a lot and appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure, Scott.
Thank you.